Here we are at week 8 of the 2024 NFL season. Let's do my week 8 picks, but first, let's do a quick recap of my week 7 predictions. So, for week 7, I went 12-3. And before heading into week 8, I was 66-41. And I think that's pretty okay. But because I am making this video late, I am 66-42 because I chose the Vikings to win the Thursday Night Football game against the Rams, and they lost. So, my Week 7 picks started off with Thursday Night Football. The Broncos taking on the Saints. I chose the Broncos to beat the Saints. It was kind of sad on the Saints' end. Then I chose the Jags to beat the Patriots. They won that pretty convincingly. Trevor Lawrence looked great. Then I chose the Packers to beat the Texans in a pretty close, pretty kind of ugly in the beginning, but pretty strong offensive game from both sides. Even though Jordan Love threw a few interceptions, he threw some really damn good throws. And CJ Stroud didn't look all too great that game. Then I chose the Falcons to beat the Seahawks. And just when I decided to choose, say like, wow, Kirk Cousins is awesome, he doesn't do so hot against the Seahawks. Seahawks won 34-14. Then I chose the Bills to beat the Titans. And it started off ugly, 10-0 at the beginning, and then the Bills just ran off with 34 unanswered points. Will Levis didn't start. Mason Rudolph started for the Titans. Then I chose the Lions to beat the Vikings in what was possibly the best game of the week. It was just a very fun game from what I saw. Very close. Field goal won it at the end. Yeah, just a really good game right there. Then I chose the Eagles to beat the Giants. It's the Giants. They're fucking awful. Eagles won 28-3. Then I chose the Bengals to beat the Browns. And what was a kind of ugly game, Deshaun Watson tore his ACL. Then I forgot who the backup was for the Browns came in. He sucked. Then they finally threw in Jameis Winston, and he tried to lead a comeback, and they still fell short, 21-14. Then I chose the Colts to beat the Dolphins. They started Anthony Richardson instead of Joe Flacco. They wanted to see what they had with him. Some good throws, some not so good throws. They should have started Flacco, but it was against the awful Dolphins. It was just a very ugly game from what I saw. Then I chose the Rams to beat the Raiders, and that was very boring. I was very bored watching the game. Aiden O'Connell, he's on the IR now with a broken thumb, I think. Gardner Minshew winning. He looked awful. The defense did their best to keep us in the game, and it just didn't work out. We lost 20-15. Then I chose the Commanders to beat the Panthers, and Jaden Daniels went out after a while in the game, and then Marcus Mariota came in and then just decimated the Panthers. The Panthers are awful. Let me see. I just want to look up the stats of Marcus Mariota because he had a pretty good day. 18 for 23, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really good day for Marcus Mariota to come in, and it was against the Panthers, but it's still a pretty good day. And the Panthers just looked awful. Andy Dalton had 2 interceptions. I think they were both pick sixes. He looks bad. And they're going to start Bryce Young next week. So we'll see what happens with that. Then I chose the Niners to beat the Chiefs, and that didn't work out. The Chiefs had their number the whole game, even though it was a very ugly game for a while. Both quarterbacks throwing interceptions left and right. And then Brock Purdy just didn't look all there. It's just an ugly game. Niners lost. Then I chose the Steelers to beat the Jets. And the Steelers started Russell Wilson instead of Justin Fields. I was kind of upset by it, but after the first few drives that didn't work out for the Steelers, Russell Wilson got cooking, and he torched the Jets 37-15. Devontae Adams got the new Jets player, had 3 receptions for 30 yards, and that was it for the night. He had 9 targets, dropped the first pass that Rodgers threw to him. And it turns out that firing your head coach and bringing in Devontae Adams wasn't enough to not get cooked by Russell Wilson. and the bullshit of the Steelers. Then I chose the Ravens to beat the Buccaneers. They did it 41-31. The Bucks came back with like a garbage time. And the Ravens just looked really damn dominant. It took a while to get going, but damn, Derrick Henry just ran all over them. Lamar Jackson had a lot of great throws. Baker Mayfield had a few interceptions, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both hurt, so the Bucks are kind of fucked. Then I chose the Chargers to beat the Cardinals in a very, very boring game that I just couldn't finish. When the Ravens-Bucks game was over, I tried to check that out, and it was so damn boring and uneventful. The Cardinals won 17-15. The Chargers, they just don't look all there against and the Cardinals, they can be pretty sneaky, and I don't know if they're good or not, and that's the thing. The Chargers didn't even fucking score a touchdown. They just kicked field goals all day. And Kyler Murray, he's a very sneaky athlete, so he at least was able to do enough to, win the game. Now, let's move on to my Week 8 picks. Started off with Thursday Night Football. I chose the Vikings to beat the Rams, and that didn't work out. It was a pretty kind of uneventful game for the most part, to me at least. There were a lot of big plays on the Rams side of the field. Let me look at the stats here. Matthew Stafford had a pretty good game. 4 touchdowns to 1 interception for 279 yards, going 25-34. It was just a really good game. Puka Nacua was back, 106 yards. Really good for him. Cooper Kupp did pretty good. Most of the interceptions went to Demarcus Robinson. And on the side of the Vikings, I was really trusting that Vikings defense because that Vikings defense looked really damn good throughout the season, and Sam Darnold was cooking it up all year. He had 2 interceptions, but he kind of crapped out in the second half. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but he kind of crapped out in the second half of the game. But I will say they did get fucked over at the end. They got the ball back down by 8. It was 28-20. And the refs missed that blatant, super obvious face mask on Sam Darnold to get the safety. So the refs really fucked over on this one because Sam Darnold could have drove down the field. They would have gotten like 20 yards on the penalty or whatever. A new fresh set of downs. They had about a minute and a half or something left for the game, over a minute. So yeah, the refs fucked that over. I didn't choose the Rams because although they were very competitive, I knew they were really banged up still. But I trusted the Vikings offense more, but they crapped it out. And it still goes to show that the Rams are a very competitive team. Even though they are 3-4, they're still very competitive. Now let's move on to the Sunday games. That being the Ravens going to the Browns. The Browns are awful. They're pathetic. There's nothing going good for them. They're starting Jameis Winston now, but I don't think that's going to be enough for this electric Ravens team who are on a 5-game winning streak. Lamar looks great. That defense looks pretty good. Derrick Henry, damn. Even, not likely, Andrews finally came back and started making some good receptions. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Ravens are going to demolish the Browns here. Then we got the Titans visiting the Lions. Lions, what do I have to say? The Titans are pathetic. They're bad. They're bad. Nothing's working out for them. They only have 1 win, and that was against a shitty Dolphins team. Lions, they're electric right now. That rush game, that pass game, they're extremely inventive with their play calling. And their defense is still pretty good, I think. Lions, what am I supposed to say? Jared Goff, he's the man. Jared Goff has been elite. MVP candidate right now. The front runner since Darnold's kind of crap in the bed. But, not crap in the bed, but, Jared Goff, that man is incredible. So Lions are winning this game. Then we got the Cardinals taking on the Dolphins in Miami. This is the return of Tua Tagovailoa. Let's hope that that's going to be enough to jumpstart this offense. I don't think it's going to be enough personally. I think the Cardinals are going to ride off of that electric win against the Chargers. Electric. They barely won. I think the Cardinals are going to ride off of this win, though, because the Dolphins, they haven't looked good at all without Tua. Huntley and Skylar Thompson or Tom Boyle, nothing's working out. That offense looks horrendous. So I'm not sure if Tua's going to be 100% coming back. He might do enough to make this offense at least look watchable, but I'm giving this to the Cardinals solely for the fact that it's just Tua's first game back, and I don't know if he's going to be 100%. Then we got the Jets taking on the Patriots. Two very underwhelming teams coming into the season. Everyone had the high hopes for the Jets. Remember when everyone thought the Jets were going to be Super Bowl contenders? Look at them. They're 2-5. There's no coming back from that. Their season's done. There's nothing they can do. But it doesn't mean they're not going to win this game, because the Patriots, on the other hand, are pathetic. Drake May, he at least looks good, but they're still bad. They're really bad. They only have one win. I'm going with the Jets because they have more talent. Aaron Rodgers still looks pretty solid. He did have a dropped pass that led to an interception last week that shouldn't have been, and Devontae Adams heroically stopped the pick six from happening. But hopefully Adams and Rodgers have a better connection this game. It's going to be an ugly game, though, so yeah. Didn't the Jets play the Patriots already? Yeah, I think that was Monday Night Football. Jets were at home. They beat them 24-3. Wow. So yeah, Jets are going to win this game pretty easily. Oh no, that was Thursday Night Football. No wonder why it was such a forgettable game. Yeah, Jets going to win this pretty easily. The Patriots are awful, but the Jets are less awful. Then we're moving on to the Falcons taking on the Buccaneers. Both of these teams sitting at 4-3 at the top of the division. And they both are coming off of some losses. And this is pretty tough for me because I like both of these teams. I like both of their offenses. But solely for the fact that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are out, I'm going with the Falcons on this. They look less banged up. Baker Mayfield's not going to have a whole lot of weapons to throw to. The Falcons, I don't have a whole lot to say on this. I think they're going to take this game. It's going to be I think it's going to be a pretty ugly, close game. Then we got the Packers taking on the Jaguars. The Packers, they look really damn impressive. They look really damn good. Jordan Love is killing it right now. The Jags, they do have a win. They do have their second win coming off of beating the Patriots. But what am I going to say? The Packers, they're more impressive. Josh Jacobs last week finally had his first receiving touchdown. He's been in the league since 2019. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his fifth season. He finally had his first receiving touchdown as a running back. I know a lot of people were making a big fuss about that. I just think it's kind of funny. Trevor Lawrence looked good last week, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to beat the Packers. Packers are going to take this kind of easily, I think. Then we got the Colts taking on the Texans. The Colts having a pretty ugly win against the Dolphins. The Texans having a pretty ugly loss against the Packers. I think C.J. Stroud had less than 100 yards last week against the Packers. Let's see. Yeah, he had 86 yards. That's, not good for one of the shining stars in the NFL. Who do I like more? I'm going with the Texans on this just because Anthony Richardson, he's as fun as he is to watch, he does make a lot of pretty boneheaded decisions when it comes to throwing the ball. The man's got a cannon. You can't deny that. I want to see him play in the NFL for a long time, launching that ball, and because he can make some pretty damn good throws. But I just think that the Texans are going to take this. It might be an ugly game just because they're coming off of a pretty bad loss where C.J. Stroud didn't look all too great. 10 passes for 86 yards. Come on. Then we got the Eagles taking on the Bengals. I'm choosing the Eagles. The Bengals, they're sitting at 3-4 now. They're looking a little better. That offense is still pretty good. But I think the Eagles are getting back into the rhythm of things. They did have who did the Eagles play last week? Oh, yeah, the Giants. Yeah, they beat the Giants pretty convincingly, but the Giants are garbage, so it doesn't really count as a win. Although I do like the Bengals offense, I don't think their defense is going to be enough to stop Saquon Barkley. That guy is killing it. Saquon's pretty damn good still. Then we got the Saints taking on the Chargers in Los Angeles. If Derek Carr was starting, I would choose the Saints. That was my mindset before the Chargers lost on Monday Night Football. So the Chargers are going to have a short week, and they lost to the Cardinals, a pretty sneaky team. But on the other hand, the Saints, nothing was working out for them. It was a pretty ugly game in the first half against the Broncos. It was close, stupidly close for no reason. And yeah, they did have a lot of rest from that Thursday night game coming into this week. Spencer Rattler, no touchdowns. He had a fumble. It was pretty bad. 172 yards off of 25 throws. It's not that good for your average per throw. He is going to get the start again this week. Taysom Hill's coming back, and I believe Olave is coming back. Kamara just signed that 2-year extension. Good for him. I'm going to go with the Saints, though. I'm going to go with the underdogs here just because the Chargers just had some shit luck just fall on them. That penalty definitely cost them the game at the end, where the defender hit the receiver with his helmet. But I'm going with the Saints as the underdogs for this game just because I think the Chargers are going to have some shit luck. Some stupid's going to happen to the Chargers this week. And again, I think this is going to be a pretty ugly game. So I'm going with the Saints. I might regret this decision. My mindset was Derek Carr's going to come back and fuck it, we ball, but he's not coming back. He'll be back against the Panthers the week after. He's going to decimate them, probably. We'll see. But for this game, the Saints over the Chargers. Then we got the Bills taking on the Seahawks. I'm sorry, it's going to be the Bills. The Seahawks had a pretty good win against the Falcons. Geno Smith looked really damn good. He had a really nice throw to the end zone. But I'm just going with the Bills. Josh Allen is pretty damn electric. Let me look up the Bills game from last week to look at his stats. I know he had a couple touchdown passes. 2 touchdown passes, 323 yards. That's really damn good. But Geno Smith and the Seahawks, DK Metcalf looked really damn good too. Geno Smith, 207 yards for 2 touchdowns. That's good, especially off of 18 throws. DK Metcalf, 4 receptions for 99 yards and a touchdown. That's really good too. But the Bills, just because I trust Josh Allen more, and if Josh Allen were to go down for some reason, that offense would be nothing without him. Josh Allen, Bills. Then we got the Bears taking on the Commanders. The Bears, they had a bye, if I'm correct. Yes, because they're 4-2. Commanders are 5-2. So the Bears had a bye, some good time to rest. The Commanders, Jaden Daniels is day-to-day. I think he is going to get the start on Sunday, though. I made a tweet about this. I want to say this real quick. I think it's really funny. Got a buddy of mine who's a Bears fan. I like to fuck with him. But I have been saying, like, oh, the Bears are, they look pretty good, even though they played some pretty garbage teams. This is what I tweeted out. The Bears are 4-2 right now. They will go 2-9 to finish the season and will have an overall record of 6-11. They will beat the Cardinals and Patriots, and their older brothers in the division will beat them senseless. I don't want it to happen, but I see it as a big possibility. My buddy, responded with like a disappointed emoji, like the person just standing there. And I said, sorry, the football ghost of prime Brett Favre and Jordy Nelson possessed me and made me type it. He then said, I'll be back at the end of the season with Pedro Pascal. Kind of doing that. Even though it was just the Panthers, Marcus Mariota looked pretty good. So if Jaden Daniels couldn't get the start, I think Mariota would come in and do pretty good yet again. But it is against a pretty solid Bears defense, and Caleb Williams is emerging as a pretty damn good quarterback in this league. But I'm going with the Commanders on this just because that offense has looked a little more electric. They do have the weaker defense, but that offense, I think, is just too damn good to not be able to beat the Bears. So, Commanders. Then we got the Panthers taking on the Broncos. Come on. Bo Nix looked good against the Saints in the second half of the game. It was pretty bad in the first half. He overthrew and underthrew 2 receivers on the same throw. That is fucking hysterical. Bo Nix has been kind of up and down lately, but he is 4-3, second place in the AFC West. The Panthers, on the other hand, are going to start Bryce Young after benching him after week 3? After week 2? Nothing's working out for the Panthers. They're awful. They aren't going 0-17 like I thought they were because they beat my Raiders. But even though Andy Dalton looked good in that game, he hasn't looked good in any game since. And they're going to be starting Bryce Young, and I don't think it's going to be enough anyways. Like, they're just a fucking awful franchise right now. What do you want me to say? They're garbage. Broncos are going to take this pretty easily. Then we got the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. The Chiefs are 6-0, even though they don't look like a 6-0 team. They just picked up DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans because they don't have any receivers. That I don't know why anyone would do that. Give the Chiefs a weapon like that. The Raiders, on the other hand, look pathetic. They have no offense to speak of whatsoever. They can barely score a touchdown. That defense can be good at times, but nothing's working out for us. There are the rumors going around about Max Crosby potentially being traded to the Lions or whatever, but that's not happening because Max Crosby is a Raider. But if that does happen, then Mark Davis will officially be the dumbest owner in NFL history. But I don't think Tom Brady will let that happen. We have no offense to speak of. The Chiefs can at least score touchdowns, even though Patrick Mahomes is having his worst season so far. Even though he's never started 6-0, he is having his worst season statistically, as in his passing touchdown to interception ratio. He has thrown an interception in every game this season. I'm going to keep saying that because it is funny. The Raiders, on the other hand, I can't say shit because their quarterback play hasn't been good. I don't know if Gardner Minshew is going to start this game. He's looked pretty bad. O'Connell's on the IR. We picked up Desmond Ridder, and honestly, I'll say fucking throw Desmond Ridder out there. See what he can do. Because I'm sure anything else will be better than watching Gardner Minshew make these awful throws. Nothing's working out for the Raiders. Our defense can still be pretty okay at times, pretty good at times, but our offense is just horrific. So I'm going to choose the Chiefs to beat us. I hate saying that, but it's going to happen. And it's funny because the Raiders were the last team to beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day last season. The game where Aiden O'Connell did not throw a completed pass in the second half. A game where the Raiders scored 2 defensive touchdowns back to back, but I don't think we're going to have that magic. Even though we are the home team, I don't think that magic's going to be there. I think Mahomes will throw another interception. I think that's going to be funny if it happens. Like I said, that season when Matt Schaub kept throwing pick sixes. But the Chiefs are going to win because they at least have an offense that can score touchdowns, and they have a good head coach, one of the best head coaches ever. And they have possibly the best and most talented quarterback of all time, even though he is having a bad season so far, even though they are 6-0. Then we're moving on to the Cowboys taking on the 49ers. The Cowboys are coming off of a loss in the bye week. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It was funny. The Niners coming off of a loss against the Chiefs. Brock Purdy, he's doing everything he can. I initially had the Niners winning this game, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys just because they're not, I don't think they're super banged up on the offensive side at least. But the Niners looked kind of sad. Brock Purdy was doing everything he can, but no one looked like they were on the same page, offense-wise. So this is going to be a weird pick, going with the Cowboys on this. Yeah, that's all I can say. Hopefully Dak can bounce back from this weird season he's having. That is Sunday Night Football, by the way. Then we got a Monday Night Football game. Thank God it's not a doubleheader. Thank God there's not a game exclusively on ESPN+. That was really stupid, even though I had Hulu and my family has the whatever bundle plans, Disney, Hulu, whatever. Monday Night Football is the Giants taking on the Steelers. What do you want me to say? Do you want me to say that Daniel Jones is going to bounce back against a Steelers team who's going to play down to competition? Do you want me to tell you that Daniel Jones is going to torch the Steelers defense for 400 yards and 5 touchdown passes because the Steelers are going to play down the competition. That does sound like something the Steelers would do, but Russell Wilson really surprised everybody. He came in and torched the Jets, a team who supposedly has a good defense, who supposedly are Super Bowl contenders. I think it will be the funniest thing in the world if the Steelers did what the Steelers do the most and play down to competition against a garbage team like this that has no reason, no chance in beating a team like this. I will laugh so fucking hard if that does happen. But the Giants are pathetic. They're awful. Who is their backup quarterback? I want to know because they did throw him in the last quarter against the Eagles. Drew Lock is your backup quarterback. So if Daniel Jones goes down, Drew Lock is your backup quarterback. The Steelers are going to take this easily with Russell Wilson. Also, props to Russell Wilson for giving props to Justin Fields for being the guy to hold the fort down while he was, not playing. That's a good guy right there. So that's my week 8 picks. Yeah, let's see what we do this week. I know I'm going to have a few losses there. I'm going to regret choosing the Saints to beat the Chargers. I might regret choosing the Cowboys to beat the Niners, but fuck it, we'll see. So what do you think about these picks? What's your record for the year so far? And I'll be back with more videos like this. So yeah, bye.